9 fucking years old. That is the age of P. Diddy's youngest victim. Just now, a Texas-based attorney representing 120 people has just filed a new lawsuit against P. Diddy. And P. Diddy isn't the only one going down for it. They are verifying all their information first, but the lawyer said that these names will shock you. Over 3,000 people have come forward just to this one lawyer alleging SA from Diddy at Diddy parties. And he was flying in all these people from all over the country, 25 different states. But the majority were from New York, California, Georgia, and Florida. And this lawyer is ready for the fight that's gonna come. Literally has gone face to face with BP after their 2010 huge oil spill. I don't care who goes down. Every single person that was aware of what was going on at these parties needs to be shut down.
I've heard a lot of ignorant stuff being said about Diddy online over the past few months, and that's been getting even louder since he got arrested on federal charges. I've seen comments that range everywhere from, well, maybe he's a trash person who did trash things, but his music still hits, or I'm not believing anything until he's sentenced, to, look, he might have done some questionable and bad things to adults, but at least he never did anything to kids. First of all of those sentiments give me the ick on a monumental level. But second, it turns out that Diddy will apparently diddle anyone, including kids. A live press conference was held last week, and the attorney representing hundreds of new victims told the world about the new accusations and how grim they are. What are these new accusations? How did Diddy get access to kids? Stick around and I'll tell you what's up. I think it's safe to say that most of us with any sense of reading context cues knew that the things Diddy was accused of in Cassie's landmark case were just the tip of the iceberg, and the reason he paid her off in that settlement was because there was a lot more sinister going on behind the scenes. And maybe now we know some of what she didn't say. Here's what Tony Busby, the attorney representing 120 Diddy victims, had to say about the demographics among the victims.
In this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. And I want to focus on the ages of these victims.
When he starts talking about the ages, it's not what you'd expect. I mean, everybody would expect a music mogul in his 50s to get with people in their 20s, but he went way younger than that.
When we talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of.
That's around 21% of the 120 victims. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's pretty much a quarter of these victims. 25 minors is a lot, no matter what scale you want to compare it to. How did Diddy get access to kids? Who was bringing their kids around Diddy? Diddy's been around kids and it was all right in front of our faces.
Although several of these events occurred at auditions, many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star, or in the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape or even let them read for Sean Combs.
Does that sound familiar? Because it definitely should. His whole mentor thing with Usher was insanely creepy, but he actually made videos of him monitoring the Biebs when he was just 15 and stayed at Diddy's house unsupervised for a weekend.
16.
No, 16. Slow down. Let's slow down, Jess.
Okay.
Let's slow down.
You know what? I wonder if that boy ever got his car. I've never heard anyone say it, but what should really stick out is why a grown-ass man talking about giving a boy that he's got absolutely zero relation to a fancy sports car when he turned 16. What's the catch there? What did Bieber have to do to get that car? There may or may not be a tape of what went down between Diddy and Biebs too.
So you're saying that Carisha is...
She's a predator no different than Nicki Minaj. She likes that. That's turns her on.
Sean Diddy Combs is being sued yet again, twice in 1 week. This time, a young woman is accusing him of but she's also claiming that he got her pregnant and then her to get an abortion. And in this lawsuit, they also named Young Miami.
I wonder if the feds have that. If you don't know, Kim Porter is Diddy's ex who mysteriously turned up dead after she wrote a book and it allegedly contained some of the things she saw while she was with Diddy. R.I.P. Kim Porter. Allegedly, Bieber's really upset about Diddy's case being all over the news and it's causing him to shut down. The source said of the fragile singer, Bieber is so disturbed by the Diddy news and is unwilling to process it or discuss it, so he has shut off. So many people who helped to make him who he is were very close to Diddy and it has completely thrown him. And apparently, Bieber feels bad about working with Diddy. The insider added that Bieber also deeply regrets having collaborated with the disgraced mogul last year and would never have done so had he known the allegations that have since come to light. The source goes on and says he had a long break from Diddy when he believes most of this took place and he had distanced himself from him. Another insider said Diddy could not have happened at a worse time, as he is trying to experience the joy of being a father with the pain of having to deal with all of this. The situation with Justin and Diddy isn't any laughing matter. Some people think that Justin might have relapsed over the whole thing, and my heart goes out to him. It sounds like Diddy used the excuse, "What are you willing to do to make it in the industry?" on these kids. It's the epitome of the scummy producer cliche. It's like the worst possible version of casting couch.
Versus the confidentiality and the safety of the plaintiff. So we'll have to struggle with that with each one of these cases. Our intention, of course, is to, like we always do, file these cases under a pseudonym until the court tells us otherwise. But let me share with you a few, just kind of give you a sense of the kind of cases and the kind of instances that people are calling and reporting that we are trying to corroborate, vet, and these are the ones that we've already corroborated, vetted, and collected evidence on. One individual who was 22 years at the time she was assaulted said that the typical MO at one of these parties that have been widely discussed in the press was that when you were handed a drink, and now we know that the drink is laced with something, if you refused to drink it, you were kicked out of the party. Now, let that sink in for a minute. I mean, the admission to this party was that you had to drink the chosen drink that was handed to you. And now we know that in most cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. Studio, in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but he needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time.
That poor girl got passed around like she was just some piece of meat, allegedly. Can I just say that I love this attorney who's representing these new Diddy victims? His name is Tony Busby. He's an attorney out of Houston, Texas, and a former recon Marine officer. Honestly, that tells you everything you need to know about him. They say you never stop being a Marine, and this man is a Texan Marine on a mission. What's his mission? That's threefold. He's definitely coming for Diddy. If I'm Diddy, I'm super uncomfy right now. He also wants to find and help more victims as well as witnesses. And the last part of Busby's mission, exposing the enablers. That's right, the people who are sitting back quietly and not speaking on what they heard and saw are gonna be exposed if Tony gets his way.
There are many facets to this. The conduct we will describe today occurred over more than 20 years. There are many people and many entities involved. And we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent accomplices. We will expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter no matter who the evidence implicates.
He says that lots of powerful people are about to be exposed and people are already being threatened.
I expect that through this process, many powerful people will be exposed. Many dirty secrets will be revealed. We know what we are potentially up against. And as is always the case in situations like this, when a celebrity is involved, people can be downright mean and nasty. You would be shocked at the length fans will go, no matter the evidence to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love. I mean, there's a reason for this word fans. They're fanatics. I've personally already been threatened multiple times on social media. And when I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. This isn't my first rodeo. But victims who step forward to have their voices heard.
These victims are being represented in a civil lawsuit against Diddy, and Busby says that many of them have spoken to and are cooperating with the FBI as well. Tony says this isn't a class action suit, but rather each of these lawsuits are being filed individually. He also said during the press conference that a lot of these victims didn't come forward until Diddy's indictment and arrest because they were afraid of him.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken, and victims are coming forward. Our team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases.
In case you don't know how vetting works, it's not just that they throw out possible false allegations, although that is part of it. They also throw out anything without hardcore proof. And in these high-profile cases, they're also going to throw out anything that isn't downright scandalous and salacious. So don't get it twisted, that doesn't mean that 3,000 claimants came forward with a load of BS. It just means that the law firm's taking a closer look at these particular 120 claims because these are the ones that are most likely to turn some heads. Busby says these crimes have been going on for around 20 whole years.
The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time.
Some people ask, if it happened 20 plus years ago, why would victims just now come out against Diddy? That's complicated. It's difficult for victims to come forward. They've got to not only bring up memories about what happened to them in vivid detail, but also face the person who did it to them. And there's typically a fear of retaliation. But it's pretty likely that the reason Busby's law firm was able to get 120 to come forward is because they felt a little safer knowing that other people were coming forward too, and that they wouldn't be a lone whistleblower. That way, if there's some sort of blowback, it won't be any one victim that gets the brunt of it. Also, according to Busby, 55% of these victims filed reports, so it's not like they're just coming with these allegations and suing Diddy out of the blue. He also says that drugs were found in these victims' blood when they went to the hospital, in particular, xylazine.
Who did, in fact, seek medical treatment, were drug tested, and drugs were found in their system, weird drugs that you probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called xylazine, or trank, which, based on our research, is known as a horse tranquilizer.
Yeah, he's right. According to the DEA, xylazine is a non-opiate sedative, analgesic, and muscle relaxant only authorized in the United States for veterinary use, according to the US Food and Drug Administration. This was a really long press conference, but something else stood out to me.
Some of this behavior occurred at well-known venues in New York City. Some of this behavior occurred at private residences of people that we all know.
Private residences of people we all know. Did you catch that? I wonder who Busby thinks we all know. My money's on Jay-Z and Beyonce. Everybody knows they rode for Diddy hard and were at all of his parties. And then when Cassie sued him and he started catching heat, they both shut their mouths and locked everything down. They were like, Diddy who?
Many of you came here thinking or hoping or perhaps believing that I may start naming names. Well, that day will come, but it won't be today. The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're gonna make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're gonna name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. And I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are.
Ooh, he said they know who they are. He says he's not just going after individuals either, but big businesses and corporations. Stuff like banks, hotels, pharmaceutical companies, and anybody who turned a blind eye to Diddy's shenanigans and profited from it.
Any venue or venue owner who was aware of what was going on, but failed to stop it. Any individual or entity who knew about the conduct and benefited from it, but did nothing to report it or stop it. And any individual or entity who covered it up or helped cover it up. These people who know who they are should just come forward now. I would imagine, as we speak here, there are a myriad of people who are very nervous. You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever. I would expect there are many people out there right now who are desperately searching their memories as they delete their texts and data.
Busby said on Dr. Phil's Mirror TV, most of the cases will be filed in New York, but many might be filed also in California. And I do believe that there will be a lot of additional defendants that the public will be surprised about, and people that we all know. Another one at the top of my list to be exposed is Young Miami. Checkboard Right says that Miami got paid $500K a month to bring Diddy fresh new victims. One of Diddy's victims has said that Diddy sexually abused her, got her pregnant, and then Young Miami started blowing up her phone and harassing her to the point that the stress from the whole thing caused her to have a miscarriage. And Miami was all about the money she was paid to be Diddy's pimp. When he cut that allowance down by half, she went off.
Understand this. Think about this. And there are women in this room. Why would you quit? What the is going on that 250,000 ain't enough?
Ladies?
Like the fact that he, I'm just saying, the fact that he cut from 500 to 200. Who the gives a shit? 200K, who 250K? Who turning down 250K a month? What's going on in that relationship that 250K ain't enough?
Could see some things.
That ain't worth 250K. That's gotta be some dark. Like, people are not understanding that girl quit.
And that Miami was more than eager to take Cassie's place, even in the freak-offs.
Couldn't wait for Cassie to run. You couldn't wait to be in Cassie's shoes.
But then she came right out and said that Young Miami went out and got victims to bring to Diddy.
Hurry in, JT. What don't y'all understand?
Yeah, to be on payroll.
How many ways do I have to say it? These is wild. They pay big to do damage and procure victims. There's and all of these is worker. $250,000 a month to do straight at will.
Young Miami's come out and said she doesn't know anything about these allegations. I can't speak on something that wasn't my experience, and I can't speak on something that I don't know. I can't speak on these allegations because I wasn't around at the time. I don't know that person, and that wasn't my experience. Point blank. I don't think that's true. How are you gonna take pictures with a man and post them on Instagram talking about how y'all are like Bobby and Whitney, which by the way isn't what I'd call hashtag couple goals, and post all the stuff he buys you talking about how he's down to encourage your hashtag act bad and stuff, but then say you don't know that person. You knew him well enough to say he peed on you, and then we all sat back laughing calling him P. Diddy. But you don't know what goes on behind the scenes at these parties? Nope, sorry, not buying it. To be clear, these allegations being brought up are no small claims. They almost all involve the same story. Diddy or one of his associates hands the victim a drink that's spiked, the victim gets assaulted and passed around, they wake up dazed and confused and injured, and then they get told not to tell anyone about what happened to them, sometimes threatened.
Violent sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment, sexual abuse of minors.
And he says he's expecting to file these suits within 30 days. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about the new allegations? Which celebrities do you think will be named in the new suits? Let me know all about it down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.